Jos Verstappen. The most horrifying pit stop ever. Before there was Max, there was Jos Verstappen, known mostly for two things, being Max's dad and this pit stop. Hockenheim, 1994. Jos is driving the Benetton. Mid-race, he pulls in for a standard fuel and tire stop. You know, the usual. Except Benetton had been messing around with their fuel rig, allegedly to go faster, allegedly to cheat, allegedly to turn pit stops into potential war zones. Jos pulls in, the nozzle goes in, but then fuel starts flowing. Boom! The car explodes into flames. Straight up fireball, like someone turned the pit lane into a Michael Bay movie. Flames shoot over the car, over the pit crew, over Jos. He's sitting inside it like a human torch. But the worst part? No one panics. Seriously, the mechanics barely flinch. They're calmly waving fire extinguishers around like they're putting out birthday candles. Meanwhile, Verstappen is literally on fire. His helmet visor melts. His race suit gets singed. It's a miracle no one got seriously hurt. But this wasn't a little puff of smoke. This was a pit stop inferno. Why? Because apparently Benetton removed a safety filter from the fuel rig, again, allegedly, to speed up the process. That process being soak everything in flammable liquid and hope nothing goes wrong. Spoiler alert, it did. And Jos, he survived it like an absolute unit. Just climbed out afterward like, that was hot. Let me tell you, pit stops in the 90s were built different, but the FIA launched an investigation. Benetton was like, we don't remember removing any safety features. The fuel supplier was like, we built the system to not set drivers on fire, actually. Everyone passed the blame around like a hot potato, but the damage was done, both literally and reputation-wise. The image of Jos covered in flames became one of the most terrifying pit moments ever, and a reminder that F1 in the 90s was wild. No halo, no fireproof overkill, just vibes and YOLO. It was one of those moments where every fan watching went from cool pit stop to, oh my god, is that man okay? In 0.2 seconds. Now, every time you see Max Verstappen pull into the pits and everything goes fine, just know his dad had to literally survive a fireball to get him there. Valtteri Bottas, Monaco 2021. A disaster. In Monaco, everything is about timing. It's a tight street track where you can't really overtake, so your pit stop better be perfect. Unless you're Valtteri Bottas. Then it's a disaster waiting to happen. Lap 30. Bottas comes into the pits running second. Things look good. All they had to do was change the tires quickly and send him back out. Easy as that, right? Wrong. The front right tire said, nah, not today. The wheel nut got stuck. The mechanic tried to loosen it with the air gun, but instead of unscrewing, it just got destroyed. Completely stripped. Useless. That tire was now basically super glued to the car. But everyone froze. What do you even do in that situation? Try a bigger wrench, light a candle, and pray? Mercedes had no answers. After a few minutes of silence and confused faces, they just gave up. Retired the car. Because of one tire. But here's the best part. It took them 43 hours to finally get that tire off. Not 43 seconds, 43 hours. Over a day later, they were still working on that same cursed wheel. The internet went wild. Fans joked Mercedes needed Thor's hammer. And Bottas, he didn't yell, didn't scream, just stood there with his usual blank face, probably thinking about switching careers. You know it's bad when a Finnish man looks upset. It wasn't just a bad pit stop, it was one of the worst ever. In Monaco, where everything is about precision, this was a total meltdown. One wheel, one mistake, whole race ruined. Daniel Ricciardo, Monaco 2016, the dumbest pit blunder ever. Monaco. Again. Because of course, 2016, and Ricciardo is driving like a man possessed. He's leading, dominating, outdriving everyone in the rain, in a Red Bull that has no business being this quick. The win is his. All he needs now is a clean pit stop. So he comes in, boxes, but then nothing. Wait, what? No tires. Literally. No tires ready. The crew stands around like they just realized F1 is a team sport. Surprise, surprise. One guy looks left, another runs off like he forgot where the tires are. It's a full-on comedy sketch, live on international TV. Ricciardo's sitting in the car, soaking wet, steam coming off his helmet, but no one brings the tires. It's not a slow stop, it's a no stop. They just didn't have the tires ready. The only job they had, the only thing they had to do, and they forgot. But then finally, after a full eternity, okay, like 13 seconds, but in F1 time, that's forever, they throw the tires on and send him out. But the damage is done. He comes out behind Hamilton, and he stays there. All that pace, all that skill, gone, because of the dumbest pit blunder ever. But the face Ricciardo makes after, iconic. A frozen grimace of, I will destroy everything in this garage. He doesn't even talk to anyone, just walks away with that dead-eyed, never trusting humans again look. And honestly, he was right. Red Bull had one job, and they fumbled it like they were trying to lose. That wasn't a pit stop, it was a betrayal. Fans were furious. Daniel was furious. Even Christian Horner looked like he wanted to dig a hole and disappear. Honestly, it's one of the most heartbreaking pit moments in F1 history, because it wasn't a crash, it wasn't rain, it wasn't a mistake by the driver, it was just pure, ridiculous team failure. But let's be honest, this was the moment Ricciardo probably started packing his emotional bags. He won Monaco 2 years later, sure, but this was the one that should have been his. This was the one they gift-wrapped and handed to Hamilton. To this day, F1 fans remember 2016 Monaco, not for the race, but for that pit stop. The one where the tires took longer to show up than a Ferrari championship. Ouch. Felipe Massa, one of the worst pit stops ever, period. It happened in Singapore 2008, F1's first ever night race. Bright light, shiny cars, high drama, perfect place for an epic meltdown. Massa starts from pole, fastest Ferrari on the grid, leading the race. Everything's going great, but then Nelson Piquet Jr. decides to take a little oopsie and crashes on purpose. Yes, seriously, on purpose. Because F1 was in its villain origin story phase that year. Safety car comes out, Ferrari calls Massa in, time to refuel and bounce, simple right? Except, back then, Ferrari didn't use the classic green-red traffic light system for pit exits. Oh no, they had a guy controlling it with a button, a manual button, because trusting a human with reaction time in a fuel stop is always smart. Massa's in, fuel hose locked in, mechanics do their thing, but then, boom, green light flashes, Massa floors it. And the fuel hose, it's still attached, he rips it straight off the rig. But then the fuel guy gets yanked. Crew members dive out of the way. Massa flies down the pit lane with a literal fuel dispenser hanging from his car. It's not just a mistake, it's a parade of chaos. He finally stops at the end of the pit lane. Crew sprints all the way down, full sprint to pull the hose off. Everyone watching is like, is this NASCAR now? Commentary loses it. Even the onboard camera looks embarrassed. But the damage? Massive. Time lost. Penalty. Race ruined. From first place to 13th. From potential win to 0 points. It was the beginning of the end for Massa's title hopes that year. And the worst part? He lost the championship by one single point. 1 point. You think about this pit stop every time someone says, well, the team's doing their best? Are they? Are they really? Ferrari switched to an automatic system after this. Because apparently, don't let your driver take the fuel station with him was a lesson they had to learn the hard way. Crazy, right? For Massa, the 2008 season was horrible. He did everything right, drove like a champion, cried on the podium in Brazil thinking he'd won, only to find out Hamilton passed Glock in the last corner, game over. But this pit stop, this was the moment the universe said, nah. So next time you're having a bad day, just remember, at least you didn't drag a fuel hose down an F1 pit lane in front of millions. Monaco! Again. With no other team then, Ferrari. You just know they will fack it up. Charles Leclerc, the local boy, the golden child of Ferrari. Starting on pole, fastest in quali, the wind is perfect. Looking locked in for his first ever Monaco win, it's all lined up perfectly. So obviously, Ferrari decides to light the whole plan on fire. It starts with rain. Not heavy rain, just enough to make things confusing. Ferrari looks at the sky and immediately panics like it's the apocalypse. Sainz wants to stay out on wet tires. Charles is told to pit. Then, wait, don't pit. Too late, he's already in the pit lane. But Sainz, right in front of him. Because someone at Ferrari thought it was a genius idea to double stack the cars. In Monaco, during a tyre switch on a drying track, with weather updates changing by the second. Well done, lads. So Charles sits there, helpless, screaming on the radio, no, no, what are you doing? And honestly, same Charles, same. They fumble the tyre call, they block him behind Sainz, and then, just for fun, they call him back in again a few laps later. Because why ruin one pit stop when you can ruin two, right? Every other team had already figured out the right strategy. Even Alpine looked smarter. And that's saying something. Ferrari took a front row lockout and turned it into a second and fourth. Leclerc went from first to fourth at his home race. That's like losing a World Cup final in your own living room, with your mum watching. But the worst part? This wasn't the first time. Ferrari's strategy team had already been under fire all season. This just confirmed it. They weren't just bad, they were comedy tier. Memes exploded. Ferrari strategy team became a punchline. People were posting screenshots of Windows 98 error messages with Ferrari pit wall written on them. But poor Charles, he tried to stay calm. You could feel his soul leaving his body. The man just wanted one clean race at home. Instead, he got Ferrari'd again. Lewis Hamilton, China, 2007. One of the craziest pit stops ever. Lewis Hamilton, rookie season, already acting like a world champ. He's leading the championship with 2 races to go. Just needs a clean finish in China? That's it. No heroics, no drama, just bring it home. But what's F1 without chaos? The race starts wet, tricky conditions, tyres wear out fast, but McLaren, oh, they decide to leave Lewis out. Lap after lap, the intermediates are dead, bald, useless, like racing on banana peels. Everyone watching is screaming at their TVs, box him, box him. McLaren, let's wait another lap, and another, and another. Eventually, the tyres are so cooked they could have been served at a steakhouse. But Lewis, he's sliding all over the track like he's ice skating in flip-flops. Still, they wait. Then finally, they call him in. He turns into the pit lane, but then he goes straight into the gravel. Ouch. The pit entry in Shanghai has this tight left turn with no grip. Hamilton brakes on his tyre carcasses and just slides into the sand like he's beaching a jet ski. The car is stuck, wheels spinning, Marshall's helpless, cameras zoomed in on the disaster. Championship lead? Gone. No crash, no mechanical failure, just McLaren being allergic to basic tyre management. He could have walked the title. One stop earlier and he's probably world champion in his debut season. Instead, Kimi Räikkönen starts licking his lips from 3rd place in the standings. The pit wall, silent, no excuses. They just watched their golden child get sacrificed by their own stubborn strategy. The FIA didn't beat Hamilton, Ferrari didn't beat him, McLaren beat themselves, fans were stunned, commentators couldn't believe it, and Lewis, he sat in that gravel trap looking like he'd seen the ghost of future championships. But it didn't end there. He went on to lose the title by 1 point after Brazil. That moment in China was the domino that started it all. One pit stop mistake, one stubborn call, a whole season unraveled. You don't leave a driver out on tyres that dead, you don't ignore the conditions, but you definitely don't gamble a world title entry on a busted set of inters. But hey, McLaren's gonna McLaren. Haas Australia 2018. You know that moment when everything's going perfect perfect and you start getting cocky? Yeah, that was Haas in Melbourne, 2018. First race of the season. Both Haas cars, Grosjean and Magnussen, are running up in P4 and P5. Beating Red Bull, beating Renault, basically playing F1 on nightmare mode and winning. Everyone's shocked. Even Haas looks confused. But then, pit stops happen. Off course. First, Magnussen comes in. Boom. Left rear tyre not attached properly. He drives off and stops. Outside. Just like that. Race done. Mechanics start panicking. Grosjean's still out on track. So what do? Grosjean comes in, left front this time, tyre not attached. He pulls out, realises something's off, and then he's out too. Double DNF. In 2 laps. Because of 2 identical pit errors. It's like Haas saw the how to sabotage your own race manual and just speedran it. But the reaction? Absolute chaos. The mechanics were crying. Actual tears. One of them sat down in the garage, hands in his face like he just lost a family member. You can't even blame him. Grosjean on the radio sounded like someone stole his lunch money. No! No, guys, what happened? What happened? Pit stop hell happened. Twice. But this wasn't just about losing points. This ruined what could have been Haas's best ever finish. A midfield team beating giants. Instead, they turned a dream result into a meme. Gunther, the team boss, he looked like he was going to physically implode. The team had the pace. The car was real. But the pit crew, they forgot the part where you tighten the wheels before sending a 200-mile-per-hour machine back out. This was peak Haas. It was their personality era. The moment fans said, okay, yeah, these guys are chaos. We love them. So yeah, Haas, 2018. 2 cars, 2 stops, 2 failures. Oops. Heikki Kovalainen. That quiet, polite Finnish guy who somehow ended up in a Lotus after bouncing out of McLaren. Yeah, him. Well, in Brazil 2010, he set the world on fire. Literally, lap 35-ish. Kovalainen rolls into the pits just like normal. Lotus crew gets to work. Tires, check. Fuel, check. Everything's calm. But then poof, flames. Just like that, his car turns into a bonfire. The fuel rig leaks, the vapor hits the hot brakes, and boom! Heikki's got fire licking across the back of the car and up the sides. And the dude is still just sitting there, helmet on, probably thinking, this is fine. Meanwhile, his pit crew reacts like they're putting out a backyard BBQ. One guy grabs the extinguisher and starts spraying like he's trying to impress a Tinder date. Another is just standing there, watching, like nothing happened. Heikki was chill as ever. Doesn't even hop out, just sits through the whole thing like he's waiting for an Uber. No panic, no screaming. This is a man who's been through McLaren strategy. Fire isn't even top 5 on his stress list, and eventually they put the fire out. He pulls away like nothing happened. Just drives off, car still steaming like a kettle, helmet probably slightly toasted. Post-race, Heikki was like, yeah, it got a bit hot. That's finish for, I was nearly flambéed alive, but I didn't want to make a big deal of it. But the best part? This was Lotus. Not the classic team from the glory days. This was green and yellow backmarker Lotus. They were already struggling to finish races. Setting one of their cars on fire mid-pit stop, just another day at the office. Fans barely reacted, because by this point, Heikki surviving chaos with zero facial expression was just normal. It was pure comedy gold. Flames everywhere, crew scrambling, and Heikki just chilling in the car like it's a steam room in Helsinki. Lewis Hamilton, Germany 2019, a shit show from the highest order. Let's paint the scene. Hockenheim 2019. Mercedes are running a special livery to celebrate 125 years of motorsport. They're wearing old-timey garage uniforms. Everyone's hyped. It's supposed to be a party. Spoiler, it turned into a funeral. The weather was pure chaos. On again, off again rain. Classic F1 gods aboard conditions. Hamilton's leading early on, doing Hamilton things. But then, boom, he slides off the track, right into the wall. Front wing destroyed, half his front end dragging like a dog with an itchy butt. Okay, no big problem, right? Box repair, get back in the fight. Except the pit crew isn't ready, not even close. Hamilton limps into the pits looking like a shipwrecked survivor. But the Mercedes pit crew? They're scrambling like they just remembered there's a race happening. No tires ready, no nose cone. One guy's holding a tire like he doesn't know what a car is. The result? A 50-second pit stop, 50-5-0 for Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes in 2019. Wow. It looked like a school group doing a pit stop demo at a fan zone. Nothing made sense, no rhythm, no strategy, just full panic. Like Toto Wolff screamed, do something, and nobody could understand him. But Lewis, he was sitting there watching his championship lead melt like ice cream in a microwave. His radio was dead quiet, because what do you say when your team is operating like interns? To make things even spicier, this was home turf, Mercedes' backyard, their heritage race. They brought everyone to watch, and then served them this flaming bowl of disaster soup. Eventually, Hamilton gets back on track, only to spin again later, picks up penalties, drops down the order, almost finishes dead last. In a race that, on paper, he should have walked. Mercedes somehow managed to turn a dominant car, a 5-time world champ, and a lead into utter meme-worthy chaos. And the fans? Oh, they had fun. Did Ferrari hack Mercedes this weekend? 125 years of motorsport, 125 seconds of pit lane shame. This race had it all. Clown pit stop, wall kiss, rain roulette, and a GOAT-level team looking like F2 on a budget. So next time you see Mercedes executing a perfect 2.3-second stop, just remember Germany 2019. Kimi Raikkonen, Bahrain 2018. The match of that horrifying accident. Ah yes, Kimi, the Iceman, the man who doesn't talk much, doesn't care much, and definitely doesn't wait around in the pits if the light says go. Bahrain 2018. Kimi's running strong in P3. Comes in for a routine pit stop. Tires off, tires on, well, almost. The light goes green, which for any other driver might mean, okay, let's double check. make sure we're all clear. Not for Kimi, green light equals go. So he goes. But the problem is, the left rear tyre, not changed yet, still mid-swap, and the poor mechanic standing there, directly in the line of fire. Snap. Kimi drives right over the guy's leg, straight up breaks it. On live TV, in HD, you can see the guy hit the ground like a sack of potatoes and stay down. It's brutal. Kimi, he doesn't even flinch. Doesn't ask, doesn't look back, just stops the car a few meters later when he's told to. Radio, stop the car, stop the car. Kimi, probably sipping imaginary ice cream. What happened? I go when it's green. Stone cold, the pit crew is shaken, mechanics are yelling, medical team rushes in, race over, not for the car, but for the trauma. The mechanic, Francesco Tigarini, ends up in the hospital with a broken tibia and fibula. Kimi ends up walking back to the garage with the same energy he walks away from podiums. No emotion, just vibes. And Ferrari, they get fined 50,000 euros for an unsafe release. Basically couch change for them. Fans were horrified and fascinated. This wasn't a haha, Ferrari messed up again moment. This was serious, dangerous, but also textbook Kimi. Green means go. Doesn't matter if you're about to flatten someone. If the light says go, the Iceman goes. This was one of the scariest pit incidents in recent memory, but also one of the most Kimi endings imaginable. Teams in chaos, someone's in pain, and Kimi's just standing there like, can I go now? Sebastian Vettel, Turkey 2020. The pit stop circus with off-course Ferrari. Rain, Istanbul 2020. The track is basically an ice rink and the Ferrari strategy team is Ferrari. Sebastian Vettel's having a rare good day in a year that's been a rolling disaster. He's actually in the point. Yes, in a Ferrari. In 2020. Don't laugh, it was a big deal. Now Ferrari decides, boldly, to pit both their drivers at the same time. Leclerc first, Vettel right behind him. They go for the triple stack. Wait, what? That's right, they somehow try to do a triple stack pit stop for 2 cars, with 4 tires per car, and 0 cents. Vettel pulls in. The crew looks like they've never seen him before. Like he just crashed the party uninvited. Oh no, he's here already. Tires? Not ready. Mechanics? Sprinting around like someone let a goose loose in the pit box. They finally get tires on Seb, but by the time they send him out, Charles is already halfway down the road having a full-blown meltdown on the radio about his strategy. Because, of course, Ferrari managed to ruin both pit stops at once, but the best part, the team radios. The clerk's out there screaming, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" While Vettel's sitting in the box thinking, "Good question, Charles. Good question." At this point, it was less of a Formula 1 team and more of a traveling circus. Vettel looked like the sad clown who knows the tent is on fire but still tries to juggle. Fans were stunned, but also not surprised. It's Ferrari 2020. If something can go wrong, it will. Usually during a pit stop, and usually with both cars at the same time. So, what does Vettel do after this tire fire of a stop? He finishes third. That's right. The man crawled through the chaos and somehow landed a podium. In that tractor of a car, it was like he survived a tornado and still walked out holding a trophy, because if anyone knows how to suffer with dignity, it's Sebastian Vettel in a red suit. Ferrari strategy in Turkey 2020 wasn't just bad, it was comedy.